Russians published a book with 240 pages of dead Marines, which died for one village with a population of about 1,000 people. And this is only the first volume. 2 more on Novomikhailovka are on the way. So probably there will definitely be 20 volumes on Kursk Oblast. Work on the material is in full swing. This year, a book about the special operation heroes who died during the liberation of the village of Novomikhailovka was published. The book was published in Saratov. It has 240 pages with photographs of 115 handsome and courageous Russian soldiers, and next to it, a short text describing the IF and death of the heroes. Looking at a glossy book titled Heroes of Our Time, Novomikhailovka. Telephone 1. I do not find in it the usual data of the author, editor, publisher, and even the number of copies. The book is a people's book, published with the direct participation of the parents and relatives of the fallen heroes. The initiator was one of the residents of the village of Novomikhailovka, and all the processing of the material and photographs. The preparation of the book for printing was done by an anonymous Anton, St. V.S., a designer, editor, sociologist, journalist. The main texts and photos of the fallen heroes were written by the parents of the soldiers, and Anton prepared them for publication. The book published is the first volume. The second and third volumes are being prepared for publication about the life and death of the soldiers who died during the liberation of the village of Novomikhailovka, so far from the city of Partizansk. For many soldiers from the 155th Marine Brigade of the Pacific Fleet, their short and bright life ended there. In Moscow, the CHP-16 Mosenergo power station has unexpectedly caught fire. The cause of the fire is still unknown. A fire is raging at Moscow's CHP-16, and the blaze is rapidly spreading. At first, security prevented firefighters from entering, claiming it was a restricted site. After some time, access was granted, but low-lying pipes are obstructing the installation of lifting equipment for firefighting. There is a high risk of the fire spreading even more, even to the oil storage located in the basement. A Russian channel with over 1 million followers proudly showcases a supposed achievement of the military industry of the world's second army. A tank encased in a metal box firing haphazardly in indirect fire to support some kind of assault. Tanks of the 394th Regiment support the offensive at Burlatskoye. In the South Donetsk direction, the Guards' tankers are destroying the enemy's defenses with precise fire, supporting the attacks of assault groups. The regiment recently liberated Burlatskoye and moved on, Russian sources write. In the early days of the Ukraine invasion, Russia boasted of its advanced military technology, cutting-edge Armata tanks, Su-57 stealth fighters, and hypersonic missiles. Propaganda painted a picture of an unstoppable force, overwhelming Ukraine with superior firepower. But as the war dragged on, reality hit hard. Modern tanks were scarce, air superiority never materialized, and high-tech weaponry proved unreliable or too costly to deploy at scale. Instead, Russian forces resorted to crude battlefield improvisations, makeshift cope cages on tanks to counter drones, and the desperate reactivation of Soviet-era T-62 and T-55 tanks, some dating back to World War II. The Swedish government has authorized the Swedish Defense Materiel Administration to procure 18 Archer artillery units for donation to Ukraine. FMV will also procure 5 Arthur counter-battery fire radar units for Ukraine. Sweden will also support Ukraine's industrial base through the Danish initiative. The government also intends for Sweden to participate in the artillery coalition of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. The total value of the artillery package is approximately $300 million and is part of Sweden's 18th military support package to Ukraine. Ukraine is in urgent need of artillery and artillery ammunition. This has been a priority for Ukraine since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion. Ukraine's Minister of Defense, Rustem Umerov, highlighted this point when I met him at the weekend, says Minister for Defense Paul Johnson. Together with the EU and our transatlantic partners, Sweden will continue to strengthen Ukraine through donations of military equipment. Within the framework of the previously announced 18th military support package to Ukraine, the Swedish Defense Materiel Administration has been authorized to procure artillery systems for donation to Ukraine. The total value of these donations is approximately 3 billion Swedish kroner and includes 18 Archer artillery units from BAE Systems Bofors. Sweden has previously donated 8 Archer artillery units to Ukraine, 5 Arthur counter-battery radar systems from Saab. The Arthur system is used to detect artillery projectiles and calculate points of origin. This makes it easier to combat enemy artillery. Arthur has previously been donated to Ukraine by Sweden and the United Kingdom. Financial support to Ukraine's defense industry through the Danish initiative that could be used for 155mm ammunition or Badana artillery systems. Through increased production volumes in the Swedish defense sector, this artillery package will contribute to strengthening the security of supply and production capacity of defense material in Sweden, Ukraine, and Europe. Sweden also intends to participate in the UDCG's artillery coalition. The coalition aims to coordinate support for developing and strengthening Ukraine's artillery capacity and to increase interoperability with NATO. Deliveries of the Arthur systems are due to start in 2025, while deliveries of the Archer systems will start in 2026. Putin. We want guarantees that during the 30-day ceasefire, Ukraine will not conduct mobilization, training, or receive weapons. He questioned how verification and control would be ensured, and pointed out that Russian forces are advancing in most areas, making the ceasefire situation unclear.
And we agree. But there are nuances. What do they involve? First, what are we going to do with this wedge area in the Kursk region? If we stop combat actions for 30 days, what does that mean? That everyone there will be leaving without a fight. We must let them out of there after they committed numerous crimes against civilians. Or will the Ukrainian leadership give them the order to lay down their arms? Just surrender. How will that be? It's unclear. And how will other issues be resolved? Throughout, along the entire line of contact. And that's almost 2,000 kilometers. And there, as you know, Russian troops are advancing on almost all sections of the battlefront. And their conditions are also being created for us to take in the blockade entire fairly large units. So how will these 30 days be utilized? For this to continue in Ukraine on forced mobilization, so that weapons are delivered there, so that the newly conscripted units undergo training, or none of this will be done. And then the question arises, what will happen? How will issues of control and verification be resolved? How can we be assured that nothing like this will happen? How will control be organized?
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.